What's up, guys? Welcome to the James Boudreau podcast, where I sit down with people from all walks of life to talk about their stories, experiences, and ideas. This podcast is brought to you by Watson Motors, the official studio sponsor. If you're in need of a Jeep, Ram, or Dodge, or whatever, these guys have you covered with great deals and even better service. So hit them up in Manistee, Benzie, or Ludington, or check them out online at watsonmotors.com. Listen, support the people that support the show. Now let's get into it. Conversation brought up that you're from Reed City, but you've been coming up here since you were a little kid. So maybe give that brief description.
Grew up in Reed City. Both my parents are from here. My grandparents are from here. My grandpa taught driver's training for eons.
Shout out to Mr. Wayberg.
Yep, that's him. Rest in peace. I've been coming to Manistee forever, man. I love it here. So, my wife and I were thinking where we wanted to settle down and start a family, and Manistee kind of seemed perfect for that. So, yeah, man, that's kind of where we ended up, and I love it here. I do. I'm having a blast. So it's a really, really good time here, and everyone's super cool, and the vibe of the town is just amazing. So. Yeah, man, it's a blessing to be here and do this with you and to know you, man. This is super cool, so appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. So your grandpa, he taught driver's ed.
Yep.
I had him as a driver's ed teacher. I bring this up because you are a driver's ed.
It's in my blood.
It's in your blood. Your mom does it or did it?
She's the road examiner, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And you say it's in your blood, but was it just kind of accidental that you got into it because of your family?
No, not really. I was working at a bank and...
Because I think being a driver's training instructor is fucking wild.
Dude.
You're putting your life on the line, bro, every day.
Dude, yeah. I hear that a lot, but honestly, it's not that bad. Like, most kids are pretty decent behind the wheel. Sure, there are some where it's like, fuck, man, all right, hope I make it home. But most of the time, it's they're pretty good, man. They'll do the rookie mistakes, maybe curbing it or, tracking issues and this and that. But most of the time, it's not too bad. Most of the time, I'm not, grabbing the oh shit handle in fear for my life. Right. So it's not as bad as everyone, they're like, you must have balls of steel, yada, yada. I'm like, yeah, but it's not as bad as people think.
It has to be something that you got a little bit more okay with over time. I still can't drive with my kids.
Yeah, definitely. When I first started out, man, it was pretty stressful and like what am I doing? I'm in the car with these kids who don't know how to drive, first time. But yeah, over time, just like anything else, it becomes routine, it becomes easy, and I enjoy, man. I enjoy getting them on the road and teaching them safe habits and how to do things the right way. Because dude, if I'm being honest, I see adults out there and I'm like, who gave you your driver's license? Because it wasn't me.
It was Don Wayberg.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man, it's good. I can honestly say I enjoy my job. I enjoy teaching kids how to drive, and not just kids, adults, man. I have adult lessons all the time too. So there's 40-year-old people coming to me, hey, I've never driven before. Now those ones they're almost worse than the young kids. But
why is that?
I don't know. It's like there's a reason you're 40 and don't have your license. You know what I mean? But I legit enjoy it. It's a good time, man. It's a good time. I was working at a bank prior to that, and that was fine. I was just like looking for something different. And my uncle, Dan, he's the one who owns the company, and he was like, hey man, you should get certified and come work for me and just see how you like it. And I was like, cool, man. I gave it a shot, and it stuck. And 10 years in the game, so. Yeah, over a decade now.
Are you seeing older kids? Are you seeing kids that are waiting to get their driver's license? I was having this conversation the other day, and I was like, yeah, I hear that a lot. Like, kids are like, I don't need my driver's license yet. When we were younger, I don't want to say you're the same age as me, but definitely when I was younger, it was like, we could not fucking wait to get our driver's license.
I wanted my license right when I was 16.
And our parents did.
Yep.
They're like, we're tired of driving you everywhere.
No, I've definitely noticed that. There are kids who are like, I'll just wait, or, I don't need to drive or whatever. And I'm like, how are you going to take a girl on a date? Like, what do you, like, have your mom take you to the movies, to the restaurant? Like, just like you, I wanted my license right when I was 16. So I've definitely noticed an uptick in kids who don't care to drive, I guess. And, that's whatever. It's their thing.
Uber. We don't have Uber up there.
No. Shoestring Express.
Yeah.
Hoof it, man.
Yeah.
It's getting their steps in.
Yeah. One of the things that I noticed that in driver's training was that the parents now ride with the kids on their final test.
Yeah. Yep.
And we're like instructed, you can't say shit.
Yeah.
Don't say shit.
Don't coach. Yep. That's an auto fail.
And it's like, I have two questions, or one statement and a question. It was nerve wracking, and I think it's on purpose to put the parent in the car now to get a sense of how their young driver's driving, maybe. But my question is, why the parents in the car? Now, when I took my driver's exam, it was just Dick Lindemann, actually, Mr. Lindemann.
Yeah, I don't know. That is a good question. Probably just to see how your kid does, because, prior to the road test, the kids have to, get their 50 hours and all that. And so you're with them then, you're coaching them and stuff. So I think it's like a final test to see that your kid can do it without you coaching them, and you kind of just sit back and observe. So my daughter was 1 point away, dude, from not getting it. Really?
Yeah, and I think it was because she hit a cone.
Oh, for the parking? The parking's tough, man. That's where I
think that's where probably a lot of kids
fail. A lot of kids fail in the parking because it's the least amount of room for error. So yeah, a lot of kids fail at the parking. But then once you get on the road, it's pretty hard to fail unless you blow a stop sign or something like that. That's like, all right, man, test done. So
God, I don't remember. I think we took like. I could just be having a complete brain fog moment, but in my recollection of driver's training was like we'd get to school at 7:20 and spend 40 minutes in class, and it was always in like the auditorium, and your grandfather or Mr. Lindemann would wheel in the huge box TV, and we'd watch car crash videos, drunk driving videos, and police officers telling us what the laws were, and then videos of people doing the right thing and the wrong thing while they're driving. And then we got a permit. Yep.
Oh, without even driving.
There was some driving, like 3 or 4 times. It wasn't much.
It was, hey, let's go around the block.
There was no 50 hours, getting 50 hours.
Yeah.
You learned how to drive with your permit.
Yeah.
And then once that time was up, so from forever how many months it was, go get your driver's license.
Yeah. Yeah, things have changed a lot. They privatized it right before I got to it. So I remember having to pay for it and stuff. But even back then, I don't think it was.
Oh, and take the paper test at the state. That was
the state exam. But even back then, I don't think it was as in depth as it is now. There's a whole bunch that goes into it, and I don't know if that's because there's more people on the road. Everyone has a car nowadays. But yeah, there's quite a bit that goes into driver's training, and it's not cheap. So I can understand why people do wait until they're at least 18, because then if you're 18, you just go to the Secretary of State, you take the exam, and you get your TIP, and then in 30 days you can take the road test if you want.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a cost to it now.
Yeah.
That wasn't there when I was younger.
Yep.
Any wild stories?
Oh man, too many. I got a pretty crazy story about, and this is super funny now, but it wasn't funny when it happened. I had a kid get pulled over, actually. And
in the driver's training car.
In the driver's training car, yeah. And it was my first year doing this job. Like, I go down to Detroit, I get certified, and then you got a job shadow under another instructor and, do X amount of hours with them, and then they finally release you into the wild on your own. So this was my first class I had by myself, and I was all pumped up, and get the kids all scheduled for their drives and get this kid on the road, right? And, there's 2 kids in the car. This kid's driving. He's like, Mr. G's, like, I got to let you know, I've never driven before. I'm like, cool, man. That's why you come to me. That's why you're in class. It's all good, because some kids have been driving since they've been 8. So kids driving, right? And we're on a just a back country, rural 55-mile-per-hour road. It's his first drive, so I'm not like too, strict on him. It's just to kind of just gauge where they're at. And he's doing fine. He's doing absolutely fine. Speed limit's 55. He's probably going 10 under, 45, maybe 40, whatever. I'm just letting him do his thing. All of a sudden, I see lights coming behind us. And I'm like, that's not for us. We're in a driver's training car. Sure enough, the cop gets super close. And I'm like, holy shit, we're getting pulled over. So I look at the kid. I'm like, hey, man, you got to pull over. This poor kid, I'm telling you, he was sweating bullets. Like, I've never seen such fear in someone's eyes, right? So this kid is just looking like he's about to cry.
Oh, shit.
Pulls over, and I was kind of pissed because I'm like, why are we getting pulled over? Like, this kid's learning how to drive. And cop comes up to the window, and he's like, I'm pulling this young man over because he's going under the speed limit and he keeps touching the fog line, which the fog line's like the white line on the right edge of the road. So I look at him and I was like, hey man, do you see the stickers all over the car that say student driver? Like, this kid's learning how to drive. By you pulling him over, you're taking away from his learning time. Now I'm gonna have to go back to the school, drop him off. His parents are gonna have to pick him up, and you just wasted like 20 minutes that he could be learning. And I said, also, okay, you're pulling him over for going under the speed limit, right? He was probably going 10 under, big whoop. I said, you're an officer. I want you to tell me which road is the only road where it's pretty dangerous if you're going under the minimum. Which would be what?
Like the highway.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, we are not on an expressway. And I said, number 3, okay, he's touching the fog line. He's working on his tracking. It wasn't the best. It was his first drive. I said, at least he's not crossing the center line.
Yeah.
I kid you not, man. This is where it gets nuts.
That's where he said, get out of the car.
No. He goes, let me see his driver's license. I shit you not. I was like, am I being punked right now? Like, where are the cameras, man? Like,
his driver's license.
Let me see his driver. I'm like, dude, he does not have a driver's license. He's been doing this for 20 minutes. He's 15 years old. What do you want? His library card? His school ID? He doesn't have a driver's license, man. And this dude was just like a big curmudgeon, and he kicked the dirt, and he was like, all right. He's like, you guys just be on your way. And I was like, I was rethinking my whole career at that point. I was like, does this happen often?
Well, what a shitty thing to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What a shitty thing to do. I mean, I get
the kid was sweating bricks, man.
The police officer might be like, all right, he could have been more, this could be more of a teachable moment, right?
Yeah.
Like, you pulled over, the kid's fucking shitting his pants.
Dude, he was like shaking,
and just
man.
be like, hey,
just trembling.
I know that you're a student driver, but this is why I pulled you over. And
yeah,
and just like
sure.
teach from there. You were going over, you were going under.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. But then also,
it was like he wanted to grill the kid, or harass him, or maybe he was bored.
I don't know. Maybe he's just one of those guys that peaked in high school.
Yeah, definitely.
But
he definitely did.
I might
definitely
edit that.
did.
No, I'm keeping it in.
He definitely peaked.
Yeah, or from hearing the story, it's easy to say what I would have done. But I think if I was that police officer, I might have been like, hey, well, maybe Maybe if anything, I'll just follow up with you after and not pull over. And be like, hey,
Yeah,
I was behind you and I was gonna pull you guys over, and this was why. But that kid, I don't know how long ago that was, but if
it was like 10 years ago, 11 years ago, when I first started doing this job, it was in Reed City actually, because we have a location over there, and yeah, man, hasn't happened since. So.
You like to think that maybe that
damn.
kid now or after that was like, okay, I'm gonna be super vigilant and be the best driver possible, or he's just gonna trip balls every time he gets behind the wheel.
Just ruined his experience. Actually, it's funny, I bumped into him, that same kid, like years later. I was passing through and stopped at a gas station to get something to drink, like walk up to the counter and put it on the counter, and the kid's working. He's like, hey, he's like, Mr. G, what's up? And I'm like, you're that kid that got pulled over. I'm like, how's it going, man? He's like, good, got my license, like, haven't been pulled over since. I'm like, that's good, man, that's good, keep it that way.
Even today, not doing anything wrong, and a cop is behind me.
Oh, sure,
like,
yeah, gets your heart going.
I'm looking and I'm like,
10 and 2, doing the speed limit, yeah.
And usually you look in the rearview mirror and they're doing this.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Yeah. It's funny because, like, you can get pulled over for being on your phone, but then, like, I saw a meme or something that was like, they have their whole laptop, like, in their car, like, as they're driving, so.
Tough job. You got to be able to multitask.
Yeah, for sure. But, yeah, that was, the only time it's ever happened, and ever since I've been here in Manistee, all the police here are super cool. It's funny, if they see a kid doing something a little quirky out there on the road, the most they'll do is I'll look at them and they'll chuckle or whatever, and I'm like, we're doing our thing.
It's stressful. I mean, I think it's stressful just being close to a student driver when I'm driving, because I'm like, no, I really don't want to.
Oh, dude, people pass us on double yellows, up hills, around curves. They're like, I got to get away, because they think the kids are going to just freaking bash right into them, which, isn't the truth, but yeah. So.
Well, yeah, but at being a parent and sitting with my kids driving, I'm always like, I'm just quiet, but I'm also like
on edge a little bit.
Oh God, you're just doing this all wrong.
Yeah,
I've been in my share of ditches and stuff like that.
Same, and I'm sure my kids will when they get up there, but. I'm trying to get my son behind the wheel already. He's, 8. I'll just kind of like let him, kind of go around the block or whatever, so, cause I got the brake on my side. So I'm like, you're good, buddy. He's like, Dad, I can barely reach the pedals. I'm like,
holy shit, dude. Like, you just said that. So like you let him drive the student driver car?
Yeah. Not very far.
Yeah. You're an instructor. I guess that's okay.
Yeah.
How old are your kids?
He's got to learn. 8 and 3. I have a 3-year-old. She has yet to drive.
Yeah.
But yeah. She'll get there.
And what does your wife do?
She works at the hospital.
Nice.
Yep. It's actually funny, man. Ever since doing this job, I don't want to say it's like made my, not road rage worse, but like just criticism of like how everybody drives. And sometimes I catch my wife, and it's just by habit, I don't mean to. I'll be like, hey babe, you're a little hard on the brakes right there, and she's like, shut up, like, I got my license, don't tell me how to drive. I'm like, oh, sorry, it's just habit, you know what I mean? Or I'll be like pointing, we'll be going out to eat, like she knows damn well where to go, and I'm like, all right, left up here, and she's like, dude, I know where to go.
Yeah, we tried. Your mom did my daughter's driving test.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know how. Oh, I think we got a hold of one of her friends that did the test, and it was like, you're gonna go here, you're gonna go there, and and there was some confusion as to whether or not you turned into the hospital or you went the other way, and we were sure that there was a turn into the hospital parking lot. So we're coming up to it, and before your mom was getting ready to say turn left up here,
started to go.
Elena goes right, goes over, and she goes, no, we're not going in there, and then she back out onto the road. And I'm like, son of a bitch. Oh.
That's not the worst thing though. She's told me some pretty crazy stories. A kid rear-ended somebody on his road test, so he failed, and not only that, but like got a ticket for rear-ending someone. So like he got a ticket, but he doesn't even have his driver's license. So like when he starts out with his license, he's gonna have points on his record.
Oh, already. That's rough, dude.
Yeah. So it's just.
I had a friend in high school. My buddy Jeff. Make a shout out to Jeff. I don't know if he listens to this. He lives in Texas now, but he was 14 or 13 and he was driving to school every day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would just get rides from him. Everybody knew he was driving to school. He never got pulled over.
Like he would
dude.
just drive like his own.
Yeah, he would drive.
He had a car. He
His
would
mom was like, take the car.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And we would do shit like we get in the car and he was like, you want to see how fast it goes? And just go flying. And I'm like, man, if you got pulled over right now, dude.
Isn't it crazy some of the things we've done in our youth and we're still
good.
Still alive.
You know, we're still good.
Yep.
We're still good. I watched
We're still here, man.
Oh my God, dude. I have so many stories. I'll sit at the kitchen table and tell stories to the older kids, and they're like, Jesus Christ, I can't believe you're still here. But
kids aren't like that anymore, man.
No, we're trying to make our youngest that way, though. You know, Betsy always jokes that somebody's going to call CPS on us because there's a 9-year-old running around outside with no supervision. But
hey, man, it's better than sitting on a screen.
Oh, 100%. I mean, we don't do that shit at the house.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lockdown mode. A lot of times, I mean, definitely all my notifications are off before dinner.
Yeah.
That's why there was a gap in our text messaging last night because we were getting ready to eat dinner.
Oh,
but we shut it down, man.
Same, man. And then, when I text you, I think we were eating I text you back after we ate. So yeah, same thing, man. I get home and I try to, be present, and, I don't want my daughter to do something cool. She's got these magnet tiles and she's like, like, look, Dad, look what I made. And I don't want to be like, I want to be there. I want to be like, yeah, I saw that. That was sweet.
Kids do what you do.
Or like, I remember one time, she was one, like just barely walking, and she managed to climb up on top of a step stool. She might have been a little older than one, but like just young and just babbling, could say a few things, and climbs up on this step stool, and she's like, Dad, look. And I'm like, I saw that. That was awesome. If I was facing my phone, I would have, so I try to be as present as possible because I think that's important, for the kids.
100%, dude. And let them just kind of be adventurous, and maybe even my friend Jacob Sang's got he mentioned to me once, we were talking about raising kids and kind of letting them be curious and adventurous and just kind of do that. Kind of like when we were growing up, we were,
Remember like riding your bike to your buddy's house and like knocking on the door and just seeing if they were home, and like either they were home and you'd hang out or they were gone. It's like people don't do that anymore.
Streetlights.
They would rather FaceTime each other.
The streetlights were when it was time to come home.
Yep.
I watched this. I hadn't thought about this or really remembered it, but there was a TV commercial back in the day, and it had like a bunch of famous people on it. And the commercial came on at 10 o'clock at night. And every like famous person, they would have a quick cameo, and they would say, "Hey, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are? Do you know where your children are?"
That's funny.
And it was like a reminder to our parents, like, "Oh fuck, yeah, we got kids.
I got kids. Yeah. Yeah.
How feral we were back then.
Nah, man. Nowadays, parents have the whole like app where it's like you track exactly where your kid is. I don't think I'm gonna do that with my kids, man.
I mean, I said the same thing, but we do it.
Yeah.
And
maybe I'll feel different. Like,
I tell you what, I hate looking at it.
Yeah.
And usually, like with my older two, it's more of a tool for me to be like, where the fuck are they? They're supposed to be here now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm not like watching every single move they make. I'll come back to what my friend Jake said here in a little bit, but this is my oldest daughter. Probably it was her. God, what is it? Was it her junior year? Must have been her junior year in high school. This is why we got it. It was her junior year in high school, and she'd be pissed I tell the story, but most people know it. Cross country camp, and they were down someplace in Muskegon County. They had a campground, a state campground or something, running the trails. They stayed there. They ran, and it was the last day, and they were doing like a big group run. And she wasn't the fastest on the squad, but everybody had like, they're supposed to have like partners and stuff like that.
Sure.
And then there was a portion of the route that was like, do not take this turn, right?
Yeah, because they go through like the woods and stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
She took the turn, and then the coach called me at some point. He goes, we lost Helena. We can't find her.
Oh, damn.
And we've been looking for her for like an hour or so.
That's scary. Yeah.
And then like the me gets all hot. Like, what the fuck you mean? For an hour? Like, why didn't you know?
That's crazy.
So he said, well, we've got park rangers out and some of the kids are out on the trail looking for her. And I go, okay. He goes, we'll call you when we find her or whatever. And it was like an hour or so later, I'm texting him like, hey, what's going on? Well, we still can't find her.
Holy shit.
So I'm like, all right. So then I'm thinking.
And she's just probably running.
Well, I'll get to that. So
like Forrest Gump, she's in like Kansas.
I'm like, well, okay, did she get abducted? There's water there. Did she somehow fall in the water? I'm like, I'm freaking out.
Yeah.
Well, then one of the things I'm really grateful for is I'm friends with a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And the former chief of police here, Tim Kozel, is now the chief of police in Muskegon. Mm. So I called him. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, hey, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I don't give a shit what you do, but calling the fucking SWAT team.
Yeah.
He called in everybody.
No shit.
They had drones and shit.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
wow.
Dude. And he was, what a great fucking
I'd probably
dude.
do the same thing though, man. Damn, that's terrifying.
It was. I was freaking out. And he's like, just stay there. Because I was thinking about just jumping in the car. But then again, what am I going to do? I'm going to drive for 2 hours.
Right. And then still you're just one person. You could go somewhere and she could be.
So she ends up taking this trail. What it actually came out of it is one of the athletes ended up finding her on the trail.
Oh, okay.
But she went the wrong way and she was in a different county.
Holy shit.
And she ran into some adults on the trail and was like, hey, I think I'm lost and whatever.
That's crazy.
Said, well, go back that way kind of thing. And then eventually she just walked out and there was one of her teammates was standing there like, holy shit, we've been looking for you for like 4 hours.
You think whoever designed that course would make it a little more known, like, hey, don't go this way,
I think there was a sign that said something like a part of the trail, and, and the coach was like, hey, when you see the sign, don't go that way, keep going straight or whatever. Wow. But she was in the back and lost her people. Yeah. But one of the things he said to me when he first called was, does she have like an Apple Watch? Does she have one of those AirTag things? And I'm like, no, she doesn't, but she's going to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that's valid for sure. That would be a reason
and
to
the
get
fucked
that.
up thing about it, Mike, is that this episode is brought to you by Brandon Ball, broker owner of Dwelling Realty, Keller Williams, Northern Michigan. Are you looking to sell your home? Then look no further. When you list your home with Brandon Ball, you'll get a trusted advisor who will guide you through the entire selling process. With extensive knowledge of the local market, he'll help price your home competitively to attract the right buyers. And with proven marketed strategies, your home will be seen by the most qualified of buyers. With 17 years in the business, you'll have someone experienced who's on your side. Contact Brandon today to get started selling your home. 231-690-4981. That's 231-690-4981. Or Brandon at dwellingrealty.com. When we were younger, we never thought about shit like that.
No.
So it'd be like, oh, well, somebody will find him.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I hope he's okay.
Yeah. No, that's a valid reason to have that for sure. I was more talking about parents who are like, the kid's like, oh, I'm going over to so-and-so's house. And then the parent's like, I just want to make sure they really go over there and they're not pulling the wool over my eyes.
But think about when you were a kid. I'll just drop my phone off or my AirTag here and then go do my thing. Right. And there's ways around it. Yeah. But you could turn it off. Yeah. And be like, well, I accidentally turned it off. I don't know.
Yeah. And I can see how it's useful. But, I don't know. After hearing that story, you're having me reconsider my position.
I don't think it's for everybody. I know people that are older now that are like in their 30s and they still are on apps like that and they hate it, but their parents are like, we want you on it.
Oh, really?
And it's like
a grown adult.
Yeah, sorry, dog. I'm 30, whatever.
Yeah. I'm just at home drinking beer, Mom. Like, yeah.
Figure out where you're at.
Yeah.
What I was going to say about my buddy Jake is he said we like to provide our kids with a little bit of microdosing danger. Mm-hmm. We allow them to be a little dangerous. Not that something that's really going to hurt them, but like they've got to be able to take a risk. Yeah,
they bump and fall off their scooter or bike or whatever, scrape their knee on the ground. It's they'll live.
Yeah, because if you're constantly helicoptering them,
for sure,
or trying to be their protector all the time, they're never going to learn how to really evolve into it can't be a safe space everywhere.
No. The
and
world
they have
is,
to understand that.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. No, I let my kids run around outside, and I'll be inside doing whatever, and just peek out the window, make sure they're still out there. And,
Even me, dude. And sometimes I'm like, where?
Yeah. Usually I can hear them. My kids are loud as hell, so if I got a window open, they're usually, chirping at each other. So it's not hard to tell when they're, close by. So
yeah,
I'll go with that for now. But yeah, when they get older, I can definitely see how when they start doing sports and driving and stuff, for sure, it's a crazy world out there, man.
I like talking about this stuff because I have what I sometimes think about as kind of a dual experience. I have, my older two who and that was from a different marriage, and the raising of them is much different than the raising of my 9-year-old, and I think that comes with age and experience too, and where you're at, particularly in your life cycle at that time. I mean,
Sure.
I was 24 when I had my son. I was super young, and I was trying to climb a corporate ladder.
Yep.
And I was working all the time, and the marriage wasn't working out. And, parenting for me then was kind of like that helicopter. I'll just do it.
Yeah. Well, first time you're kind of like figuring it out. You're like, oh shit. And then by the second kid, you're like, nah, you're good.
You're good. Yeah.
You're good.
Late 30s when we had Mary, and she is it's completely different. I mean, you can see that the growth is a lot different because we're allowing more out of her, and expecting more too, like chores and work around the house and shit like that I never did with my older two. I'd be like, I'll just fucking do it.
Hey man, that's part of the reason to have kids, right? Have them help out around the house, get some chores done.
We need farm hands.
Let's go go pick up sticks or something.
How do you look at parenting, and how do you look to kind of shape these young minds?
I want to give them as real world of an experience as I can without exposing them to too much. It's crazy. My 8-year-old, he's already learning so much at school, like just some of the things the kids, the playground talk with the boys, and he's already learning shit that I'm like, he's talked about clapping cheeks the other day.
What?
And I was like, excuse you? And he's like, yeah. He's like, some kids were talking about it on the playground. He's like, what does that mean, Dad? And I was like, oh, it just means like, like,
that means the parents at home are letting them watch some wild shit.
Yo, that's crazy. Yeah. We, as far as like watching movies and music and stuff, I don't filter that as much. Like, I was listening to Kendrick Lamar, and my daughter likes a few of his songs off his new album and stuff, so I don't like filter that stuff. But
you got a problem with Drake?
I'm Team K Dot, man. I'm Team K Dot. No, I don't have a problem with Drake. But I try to just let them kind of unfurl into the little human that they are, and then just make sure they don't kind of like go too far out of bounds. And if they do, it's like reel them back in, kind of teach them why you should or shouldn't do something, and why something is good or bad, and how to just, I'm just trying to teach my kids to be a good person. My 3-year-old, she's a little monster. She doesn't understand anything. Yeah. So, but my 8-year-old, I'm really impressed with him. He's turning into a really fine young man. He's, doing good in school, and, he came home the other day, and, he was like, Dad, look what I got on my math test. He's like, got a 95. And I'm like, dang, buddy, that's freaking awesome. He's like, yeah. He's like, but so-and-so got a 97. And I'm like, that's okay, man. I'm like, that's good. But it let me know, like, he wanted the top score, So that was a proud parent moment right there, because shit, sometimes, we sit down at the kitchen table, and I'm like doing this like 3rd grade math, and I'm like,
oh yeah, dude.
Honey, come here. You want to help with this one?
The changing of how math is done to kind of.
Yeah, they teach it a little bit different nowadays.
Well, I think it's changed a few times in the last 10 years, but even like you said, your 8-year-old, my 9-year-old had this math came up at dinner, and then she said, I can do that. And she said, we just do it in blocks.
Yep.
Like this block method.
Yep, the block method.
So she's doing it, and like, I was basic algebra. That's where I peaked.
Same.
Okay?
I think algebra 1, then like they're like in high school, they're like, that's all you need. So I'm like,
yeah. I mean, my senior year, I took home economics, typing. I had 2 hours of teacher aid.
Did you guys have?
I didn't do shit my senior year.
Did you guys have home ec?
Yeah, home ec.
That class
and
was
home ec
awesome.
was fresh. And I also had one of my teacher 8 hours was home economics, so I just ate for an hour.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Since you've been coming up here so long, I'm going to go on a tangent. There's other things I wanted to touch on, but I'm forgetting his first name, Coach Anderson. Anyways, he taught entrepreneurship.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And he was also the freshman basketball coach, and Coach A, we called him. And I had entrepreneurship, and I also had him as a teacher aide, back-to-back hours, and never in the class. I'd come in the morning for entrepreneurship and be like, hey, me and Andy are going to go get ads or go talk, and we'd go to Big Boy and have coffee and go get donuts. And the teacher aide, he would just be like, I don't need you. So I would just leave. Right. We had open campus back then, so we could come and go. Nice. We could leave school and go to lunch, which is fucking crazy that everything's locked down now.
I know. They shut that down right before I got to high school, man. The grade right above me got to leave campus and go get lunch, and then they were like, oh, too many people are getting stoned and coming back, so you guys got to, have lunch on campus. And it's like, damn it.
Yeah, how about this? How about don't let the kids that are leaving campus and getting stoned leave campus and let everybody else do their thing,
Right.
Right. You can't do that whole herd mentality thing.
Right, true.
Speaking of herding up, like, you don't see this much because, are you dropping your kid off at school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So, over at the high school, when I would drop off the kids in the morning, I would be like, I will just sit in the car and wait.
Get in the big line.
400 kids standing outside in the freezing cold while teachers are walking in. And I'm like, how retarded is that?
Yeah.
Why don't you just let them in?
Yeah.
And then their thing is, from what I've been told, is that, well, they're not babysitters. Okay, but like when school's in session, all these kids are in there.
Yeah.
Why not just let them hang out in the warmth of the cafeteria?
Right. Yeah.
Then let them go to class.
Yeah, that never made sense to me either.
No, it's dumb.
Yeah. Kids are standing out there. Teachers just moseying on in. Like, whoop, nope, can't come in. Yeah.
But for like, you had mentioned something about it kind of like being a filter, and I agree with that. Your son is young enough, but also old enough to maybe be in tune to like the online world.
Oh yeah, man. It's he knows. When we try to limit his screen time and all that, but when he does, he's into like the whole, Roblox and that, and he's like, oh yeah, he's like, I got some friends on Roblox. I'm like, nope. Yeah. So like we go on there, we like disable like his chat, and I'm like, those aren't your friends. Those are probably grown ass adults. Like, nope, you're not talking to them.
Yeah, the parental controls on some of that stuff. We didn't give cell phones to the older two until they were 16 and 17, I think.
Yeah.
And that was only because, again, wanting to be able to get a hold of them.
Yeah.
But you could see it right away. As soon as they got the phones, it was like... So, then there's a conversation. Listen, because I'm in it, right? I'm entrenched in social media, right? So I do this shit every day, all day long.
Right. Well, it's it's a tool for your business, so it can be useful.
Yeah,
it's a two-sided coin. Yeah.
I watched a thing the other day about how, well, it might get a little dark for a second, but they were talking about like suicide and what the prevailing thing will be soon with addiction, which then leads to it. If
you don't get so many likes, especially the young kids, online
gambling.
Isn't that nuts to think like, and especially with the younger generation, they post something like, oh, I didn't get so many likes, nobody likes me, and here I am, on my Instagram, and I'm like, half these people aren't even my friend. Really, I don't even know half these people that follow me, so like, I find it weird too when people post their location on social media, because it's like, I don't want people to know where I'm at. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to tell everyone where I am every second of the day. You know what I mean? So, and a lot of people just, I'm here. It's like, I'm trying to move in silence, man.
Yeah. The longer I'm in it, the more I'm like, we got to get some better control.
But for what you use it for, it's useful. You know what I mean? You can use it to grow your business. And that's why social media is crazy, because it's like, on one side, it can be something so detrimental to people's mental health, but on the other side, it can grow your business to where you can live off it. You know what I mean? So it's all about just using it correctly and trying to teach young kids how to use it correctly, and don't be bummed if you don't get all the likes in the world, because it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and there's a thing too where it's like the gratification you get from the likes and the positive comments is just as hard to handle as the negative one.
Sure. Yeah.
Because you're chasing the one and you're terrified of the other. Right. Especially for younger girls.
Yeah. Definitely. It's funny because I literally just saw an article about, the suicide stuff and the rates, and it was young girls is they're the top demographic of, that. And it's like, damn, that's scary. It's sad.
The young men too.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy, dude. Because where we live in the last year, there's been like 4 or 5, maybe 6, that have ended.
That's insane. Yeah, that's sad.
And that's 4 or 5 or 6 more than I ever saw when I was a young person.
We didn't have that shit growing up, man. You know,
we had a few girls having a baby. But,
oh yeah. But there's always those. But yeah, social media can just be really, really detrimental to someone's mental health. At the same time, it can build you up. So it's a really fine line.
What year were you born?
1988.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm 37 years old.
So you got to at least experience the 90s pretty well.
Yeah, man. The 90s were sweet. I mean, it's funny. I was actually just talking to one of my students the other day because he came in, right? He came in with the big-ass Jenko jeans. You remember those? Yes. The big wide leg.
Back.
So he comes into class. He's got his Jenkos on. And he's like, yo, Mr. G. He's like,
Mr. G.
He's like, what do you know about these Jenkos? And I'm like, dog, that is my era. I lived through the Jenkos. Don't ask me if I know about Jenkos. I know about Jenkos, man. He's just like, really? I'm like, yeah, that was the shit back in the 90s, man.
Yeah, dude. The 80s and 90s, there was such a shift in clothing and how people dressed. When I was talking to Jesse about this, we went from hair bands and the bright colors of the 80s, and which I definitely see the 80s vibe is coming back more so than some of that 90s fashion. But I was saying that when I was younger than that, kind of coming up wearing khakis and polos, and then went into the brightness of the 80s. And then as it kind of slowly progressed into the 90s, I was wearing bib overalls with one flap down like Boys to Men. We were penny rolling our pant legs. And then it got into more of the baggy attire, which was, the hammer pants and shit.
Yes,
did you ever do the hammer pant thing?
I think so. They were the windbreaker material, but they were baggy, but they're cuffed at the bottom, but baggy.
Yes,
I remember those.
I think for a brief moment.
I think I did, and I think my parents even got me steps. One time.
I had steps.
You had steps?
For sure, I had steps.
Yep.
We'd go to Dick's Barber Shop and Big Dick.
Shaky Dick.
No, we don't. I never went to Shaky Dick, but we get the flat top, and he had the silhouette pictures where it was okay, which buzz cut do you want?
Yeah,
and I'd get the one that was really high.
Yeah,
what was
that's hilarious.
Kid and Play style.
Yeah, the times, man.
And then it kind of moved into grunge, where it was,
jean jackets and
flannels,
denim everything. Yeah. Hell yeah. Good times, man. The 90s were dope. And music. The music in the 90s
was
amazing. So,
and it really depended on what you were into, because you could do the like Nirvana or Pearl Jam, kind of be in that lane. Soundgarden.
Yep.
So I was really heavy into that. But rap.
Oh yeah, man, that was when.
Do not.
Yeah.
Fucking Tupac.
Tupac, like, Snoop.
Being
NWA.
These like white, like air quote kind of country kids, just rocking to like Tupac. Warren G.
Yep. I remember my uncle one time. I was real little, and he had a Trailblazer or something, and I hop in. It was on cassette, and so I hop in, and he's like, "Hey, don't tell your dad. I'm letting you listen to this." I'm like, "What is it?" Like popping in. It's like Snoop. It's like Doggy Style, like on tape. So we're like just listening to it, cruising. I was like, "Yeah, this is awesome." First time ever hearing that.
Oh yeah, like 2 Live Crew.
Yes.
That was the underground shit. You'd be like, "Hey man, you gotta listen."
Too short.
we had a record store here, it was called Eminem Records. It was fantastic. It was just it was a cool place to hang.
I love vinyl.
But like the old school, single tapes. You just go in and get that one song that you liked, and they would have a B-side too of something, something different. But you just get that one song. I had like a couple hundred singles, bro. That was the original like iPod.
Yeah. See, I was a little too young for the tape era, but I had the whole fucking stack, the flip book of CDs, which those didn't really last long. Those are kind of obsolete now, which, it made sense. You try taking the damn stack to the beach with your, boombox, and sand would get in there and they get all scratched. Or I remember being on the bus with my Walkman, and every damn bump, the song would skip, and it's like, damn, all right.
Or how about having like an 8-disc player in your car?
Yeah. Do you remember some of them were in the trunk too? You have to go in the trunk, and I think my buddy had an Explorer or something, and he was like one of my first buddies to have like the multiple disc changer, and I just remember like going to the back of the Explorer, and it was back there, and popping in 6 CDs or whatever, and being able to rotate them, and I thought it was the coolest shit.
My buddy Mike back in the day was the only one of our friends that had like a real job where he made like a decent amount of money, and he had a black Ford Mustang. It was fucking sweet.
Nice.
And he had the disc player in the trunk, and he also had a bag phone.
Oh, the bag phone. Yeah. I remember my parents got one of that. We were balling in the bag phone.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a drug dealer. I mean, it was great to drive down. You do the thing where you're just driving on the road and you pull up and there's a car next to you, and you like just grab
the bag phone with the cord.
And like and it did have a big fucking cord.
Yeah. 10 million. Put 10 million on it. The bag phone, man, that's hilarious. That is a blast from the past. I legit remember my folks having a bag phone.
I had the big Nokia. Dude, I had a pager.
Dude, maybe that will be the first phone I get my kids, is a damn like brick Nokia. Like nothing with social media. I'll just be like, you can just call me on this. You can't even text on it. Like here's, they'll probably be.
There are some phones that you can get that are actually like the touch screen, but they're like completely blank. And you can set them up so that for apps to go on there, like you've got to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably what we'll do. It'll be text. You can text and call or whatever.
Call. Yeah.
I mean, it's like I had Daniel Saylor on the podcast, the last podcast. I'm actually uploading it right now. He's the teacher at MAPS.
Yeah.
And I brought up like, hey, what's up with phones at school? And he's on. I'm like, I don't. Are
they strict about it?
No, they let kids just have their phones. And
right in
like,
class and all that? No shit.
And I'm like, get these fucking phones out of the school. They're a distraction or whatever. I don't think they're necessary. If your kid really needs to get a hold of you, I think go to the office and make a phone call. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when we were growing
that's
up.
And
there are some schools already in Michigan, because it's district by district. That's up to the school board.
Sure.
He's like, well, we don't necessarily allow them to, play around with them.
Yeah.
If we see that, we can be like, hey, put your phone away kind of thing. But they are definitely a disruption, because if you're not paying attention, a kid's not paying attention and just scrolling on their phone.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because there's a lesson chapter in the driver's training curriculum that talks about distracted driving, yada yada. Obviously, phones are a big one. And so I was just talking to the class the other day. I'm like, yeah, my phone will like once a week it pops up with, this was your screen time, and it was like, it popped up and mine was like, it was like 3 hours, and I'm like, okay, 3 hours a day. I'm like, that's kind of a lot. And then there was a girl who like raised her hand and she's like, mine's 16 hours. And I was like, excuse me?
Yeah, but
16 hours a day?
To your point though, I think that
how is that possible?
If you, like for me, mine is somewhere around 4.5 hours a day that I get my screen time. Mm-hmm. And I'm always, at first I was like, man, that seems like a lot. Like I'm not on my phone this much. I know I'm not.
Right.
Well, it's because everything's Apple for me.
Yeah, same.
So this being open and on right now is collecting screen time.
Oh, that could be it.
So it kind of all draws together.
Yeah, I wonder if like even this,
I don't know if the Apple, but it could.
Yeah.
But I know that if I'm on my computer, this is tracking screen time. So because I don't get a notification on my computer how long I've been on.
Yeah.
But when my phone does it, there's no fucking way I was on that thing.
Oh yeah, I'm biased. I have everything Apple too, just because I like how everything connects is in sync. I don't have to move any contacts from computer to phone. Everything's just easy peasy. But this girl was like 16 hours a day, and I'm like, how's that possible? You're supposed to be asleep for at least 7 or 8. You're in school for another 7. Like. Yeah. And she's just like, yeah, I'm on my phone in school, and then like I'll go home and like FaceTime my friend for like 4 hours, and I'm like, why don't you just like meet up with them?
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Go back to when I was talking with Jesse.
Just go hang out in person.
I like having these kind of conversations about this stuff, especially about kids, and Jesse is like the head of the marketing department at Ironfish, and so he's on, he's in it too. And we were talking just like we're talking now about this topic, and there's a lot of agreeable things in it, but he was saying that one of the things that he's okay with is like his daughter will just be kind of getting ready and she'll have her iPad up and have 4 friends on it, and he goes, a lot of times they're not even talking, they're just kind of doing their thing, but they're together. And I'm like, that still seems kind of,
it's like the way of life, man. It's like everyone wants to stream everything, and I don't know.
The fucking real world screwed it for everybody.
Yeah, man. We're cooked. We're cooked, bro.
All that reality TV shit.
Oh, God.
Dude,
some of that shit's so toxic.
I mean, I was just watching something the other day on YouTube about virtual shopping and how that's could potentially be a thing. So
yeah, malls aren't even like a real... I mean, malls are dying, I remember that used to be like the place to go to hang out. You go to the mall, you hang out, you pop in a store, grab something, That's like not a thing anymore.
I mean, growing up in Reed City, you weren't really close to anything. Here. So I was always kind of like, man, I wish my life could be like it is on TV, where everybody goes to the mall. Yeah. Hangs out at the mall. You're not even really buying anything.
No, it's just a spot to kick it. Actually, we were up in Traverse City recently, and we went to the mall because I was like, I can't remember the last time I was in a mall, so we cruised through there, and it's like every store is like shut down or closed, and it's just barren, man.
Well, then you go into a place like Kohl's and it looks like a fucking thrift festival.
Yeah,
it's just packed full of shit.
Yep. What's the other one? TJ Maxx.
Yeah, that one too. Yeah, that one's wild. Yeah, I feel like it's more of an upscale Goodwill.
Oh, dude, I'm an advocate for Goodwill. I found some pieces at Goodwill, like
I'll t-shirt shop at Goodwill.
Yep, t-shirts or like sweater, like crew necks and stuff. Just stuff. Actually, I found a really cool. It's yellow and it looks like it's from like the '60s, but it's like it's a Manistee National crew neck, and it says Manistee National in like a circle, and then there's like the red flag on it. It looks really dope. I found it at Goodwill. It was $5. I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. So I fuck with Goodwill.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God, dude. So what else? Any other wild stories from
man.
Unless you want to talk about politics or anything.
Politics, yeah, we can go down that road. I'll lose some customers, or maybe I'll gain a bunch. There was one time this girl we were going through a blinking yellow light, and I don't know if kids just get so like stressed out or just, you know, zoned into driving. They're like not listening to me as I'm trying to like tell them what to do, right? Blinking yellow light, you know, obviously you can cruise through it, you know, just proceed through with caution. You don't have to stop. And she's going and she's like, what do I do? What do I do? And I'm legit telling her, I'm like, we just cruise through. You're doing fine. Keep on it, you know? And she's like, kept going, what do I do? What do I do? I can't do this. And she goes and she buries her face like in her lap, and she's driving like this through the intersection with her face completely down, like under the wheel. And I like grab the wheel, pull the car over, and I was like, okay, look, I was like, I understand driving can be stressful at times, but I said, in no way should you ever take your eyes off the road, let alone put your head down. So if that airbag goes off, you hit something because you can't see where you're going, you're going to break your neck. And she was just sobbing, bawling, and I felt bad, but I was like, that was super dangerous.
Dude,
so,
that's crazy. You never get your driver's license is what I would have said.
No, she did not pass.
Yeah, I can imagine.
She needed more time for sure. You know, I can't pass everybody, but yeah, that was pretty nuts. I don't know. For the most part, like I said, the kids are all pretty good, man. Just had a kid the other day, you know, he shows up and he's like, yeah, I've been driving since I was like 8. Comes in and he's like, driving me all through town. I could have slept behind the wheel, you know. He's like, I got Rangers and quads and you know, so I just think it's how you know, kids grow up, you know. I think it is important for a parent to at least put their kid in the driver's seat prior to driver's training, just to, you know, get them the feel. Because I can tell just by how a kid sits in the car. You know, some kids are like straight arm, like white knuckle on the wheel, and I'm like, hey, like, calm down, relax. It's all good. You don't got to strangle the wheel. It's your friend. Become one with the car. Right. You know, you are the captain of this ship. So take a deep breath, relax, and you'll do fine. So, I try to preach that, man, because a lot of kids do get really stressed, you know, especially their first drive with me. You know, they just met me and it's like I'm in the car with them, you know, so I try to, you know, bring as relaxed of a vibe as I can to the kids. You know, I'm not going to scream at them for making a mistake, things like that. Although there were a couple of times I had to scream, like this one kid just couldn't figure out what side of the road to drive on. And no, I'm serious. Like every single drive, he would pull out into the left lane. And that's like the first thing I say to the kids in class is like, hey guys, what side of the road do we drive on? They're all like, the right. And I'm like, correct. And this one kid, man, just left lane, left lane, left lane. So, you know, I do my classes down at the Armory. And so we pull out onto First Street. And this is the kid's like 5th or 6th drive. Like he should be wrapping it up. You know, we're done at this point. So he pulls into the left lane. And so in my head, I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to let him go. I'm just going to let him drive in the left lane. Like until, you know, an oncoming car gets close. Not super close, but I'm like, I'm just going to let him do it. Maybe it'll click for him. And so we're going and, you know, we're heading, you know, east on First Street there. And, we're getting like right by where they're building all those new houses right there, like right before the hill. Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, shit, he hasn't figured it out yet. And we can't go up the hill in the left lane because you can't see. So I look at him and I was like, hey, buddy, what side of the road do we drive on? The left. And I just screamed. I was like, maybe if we were in the United Kingdom, and like grab the wheel, like pull it over. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Like this side of the road. Okay, so yeah, you know, I have kids all the time doing silly things. I had one kid ask, Mr. G, do I have to stop at every stop sign? And I was like, what's the sign telling you to do, buddy? Stop. I'm like, yes, then you need to stop at every, you know, and I got tons of stories to tell them too about myself. I mean, I got a whole slew of tickets when I was younger, as I'm sure, you know, you probably did when you were younger. So it's, you know, I'm like, I wasn't perfect back then. Now I have to be, because I think I'm only allowed to get like 2 points on my.
And then you can't.
And then they'll be like, well, you probably shouldn't be teaching kids how to drive.
Yeah.
So, which, you know, I don't have any. I think the last speeding ticket I got was like, I don't know, 10 years ago or something. So it's been a minute, but I've had my fair share of tickets. Let me ask you, have you ever hit a deer?
No.
Never?
No.
Wow.
Been in cars where
Wow.
that we've hit deer, but not while
Wow.
driving.
Wow.
No, which, God,
yeah, you're in the minority. Yeah.
definitely living around here
man.
because the little bastards are everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I was at a Pistons game with one of my good buddies. This is years ago, probably 20 years ago now. And I was just slamming beers, and we were at a bar later on, and I was drunk, and I fell asleep in the car ride home at some point.
Your buddy.
And he hit a deer, and it was a blizzard out. He hit a deer, got a flat tire, had to put a new tire on, and I slept through the whole thing.
Hilarious. That's funny as hell. So like you didn't even know. He
didn't even know.
He fixed it, and damn.
And then
you must have been feeling pretty good.
I got home, and he's like, "Yeah, I hit a deer." I'm like, "What?"
Oh shit.
He's like, "Yeah, you were snoring."
Oh shit.
Didn't even hear it. I got pulled over one night. I got two stories about being pulled over. Probably 16. My dad had a 1978 Lincoln Continental. This thing was
the boat.
massive. It was a boat, rear-wheel drive.
Nice.
And it was probably midnight.
Those cars are mint, though. I'm sure it was like fully loaded and like.
It was all leathered up.
Yeah.
Obviously it was a 78. It was kind of a piece of shit, but it was what I was driving. What I was able to drive.
Yeah.
And I was taking my girlfriend home at the time, and it was midnight, 12:30 midnight. Dropped her off, and I was coming down Cherry, and I was probably touching 70 miles an hour.
Oh, okay. Where
way
it's
too fast,
where
dude.
it's like 25.
And police came around at the stop sign at Cherry and First, and when I saw them, I hit the brakes, and the front end of that fucking thing went whoo.
Yep.
And I got down the speed right away. U-turned, lighted me up, pulled me over. Now this is like small town. Everybody knows the cops kind of pull over, right?
Yep.
And Officer Taylor, he just recently passed away. Super good guy. Knocks on the window. Like, "Yeah, you know why I pulled you over?" I'm like, speeding? He's like, "Yeah, I don't know how fast you were going. By the looks of that front end that was hitting the ground, you were going way too fast."
That's hilarious.
So, where are you coming from and where are you going? Dropping off my girlfriend, who he knew. He was like, "All right, get home and keep the speed limit to where it's supposed to be."
Nice. Nice.
The next time, it was like a year later, same girlfriend and two of her friends, and same car, I think it was still in Lincoln. We were at a party and underage drinking. I wasn't, because I was driving.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I had a good mindset back then to be like, maybe I shouldn't drink and drive.
Sure. Yeah.
The girls were cranked, and I had like a case of beer.
Yeah.
And the beer was in the trunk, but the girls took a couple for the back seat.
Some roadies. And I was on 8th Street Hill coming back on the 31, and I pulled out right in front of a state cop. Lights come on. That sucks.
Pull into.
That's always the worst. Then your heart's beating out of your chest.
Yeah,
and shit.
I was like, all right, well, yeah, I was nervous, but also like I have.
At least you're sober.
You're right. But this is, again, I think, a great small town story. Lessons were learned, but nobody got hurt.
So it was a state
It was
boy?
a state boy.
Okay.
And but we had the state police post was here.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know the officer, but he knew who I was, and he was, we pulled you over because, number one, you pulled right out in front of us. But then one of the girls in the back seat was like this.
Hilarious.
Oh, I think there's a cop behind us. Miller Lite. So got us all out of the car. Have you been drinking? No, just driving. We're at a party. All right, where's the rest of the beer? It's in the trunk. So I had to do the crack and pour every single beer. And meanwhile, the girls are in the squad car. And I'm like, fuck. And he's like, he knew the coaches from the baseball. He was gearing up for baseball season. Like, what would you think if I told your coach what he did? And I'm like, well, maybe, a little smart ass kid, maybe he'd be like, I'm glad he wasn't drinking, And he's like, maybe, or maybe you'd get suspended from the team. And I'm like, oh, fuck. He goes, so we're going to follow you home, and we're going to take the girls home.
Oh shit! So they had to go home
So they followed me all the way out to my house, which was the north side, and again, it was late. It was probably 11 or 12. And the officer was like, yeah, go wake up your dad. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So I go into the house. Cop's just waiting outside. I go into the house. I go into the bedroom, like, Dad, and he's like, this, what is it? I said, hey, this is what happened. The state trooper wants to talk to you. He's like, fuck. So he gets out of bed, dude, and he's just in his underwear. Hair's all up in the air. He goes to the door, and he's like, yeah, what do you do? And he's standing, like I said, he never put a robe on or anything.
Yep.
BVDs, old school.
Standing there proud.
So the cop tells him, he said, but he wasn't drinking. He's like, all right, I'll handle it. He goes, we're going to take the girls home. He's like, all right. So we come back in the house. He goes right to the counter, lights a cigarette. And he's like, I'm proud of you for not drinking. He's like, don't tell your mom.
Nice.
And that was it. That was the end of the story. But the girls, they took each one home.
I'm sure they got a different
wake up. Yeah. And they were drunk.
Yeah, I'm sure they got a different speech from their parents for sure.
Dude.
Man.
Rough. But, it could have went
that's good.
many different ways.
Sure. I remember kind of similar in high school. It was prom. And so, we go to prom, me and my buddy, and we had our 2 dates. Go to the dance, and then we're going to the after prom party, leave, get booze from, I don't know, whoever's older brother at the time. And my buddy puts it in the trunk of his car. And all he does is lay his, tuxedo jacket over it. So it's like a clear box outline and then, an outline of a bottle, And he's like, we're good. We go to this party. We roll up, and it was at this kid's pole barn, and they had a bonfire going and stuff. And we get pulled over literally across the street from where the party was. So all the kids were partying, on the property. So they were just watching us get pulled over. So we get pulled over, and the cop comes up to the window, and my buddy's driving. I'm riding shoddy. Dates are in the back. And he's like, all right. He's like, obviously you guys are going to this party. He's like, do you have any alcohol in the car? And my buddy's like, no, I don't. And he's like, well, do you mind if I search?
Yeah, see, that's a gift. Yes, we do, officer.
So no, this is crazy. He goes, no, we don't. And he goes, well, do you mind if I search? And he said, no, go ahead. Looks through the back seat, yada yada. He's like, okay, open the trunk. Opens the trunk, takes his light, shines around, shuts the trunk, and he's like, all right, you guys are good to go. And in retrospect, I'm thinking this dude obviously knew that they're, and he was like, I'm just going to let him go, because the party was right there. But I was like, holy shit, I can't believe we got away with that. And so we shut the trunk and rolled up to the party, and everyone's clapping as we came rolling in. It was quite the entrance. So that was one time when I guess it paid to lie, but I tell my students this all the time. I'm like, look, honestly, if you guys get pulled over, number one, if you're not doing anything wrong, drinking and driving, which is obviously the dumbest thing a person can do. I said, under no I'm like, look, I'm not going to stand up here and be the fun patrol and tell you kids you are to never have a drop of alcohol prior to being 21, because kids are kids, man. They're gonna do it. I said, but if you do, just don't combine that with driving, or don't get in the car with somebody who's been driving. It's literally that simple. If you keep those two things separate, it'll make your life a whole hell of a lot easier, especially in a small town like Manistee where you can't fart and have someone not find out about it. So I preach that. I'm like, look, I don't do that shit. Fuck, man, that would make the papers if I got a DUI. You know what I mean? Local driver's training and my stupid mugshot. So I don't even, dude, even if we go to the brewery and have dinner and I have 2 beers at dinner, I just have my wife drive home or whatever. So
I'm the as soon as we sit down my wife and I am always like, there's your keys.
Yep.
We got you here. But
I don't even tiptoe on that ground because that's stupid.
See, here's a story for you.
But I've had friends. I've got a bunch of friends with multiple DUIs, and I'm sure tons of people with them too.
When I was junior in high school, we were the basketball team. We were on our way to the regional finals, and I'm gonna leave all the names out to protect the innocent.
Sure.
One of us had a great idea, to bring vodka and orange juice on the bus.
Oh, screwdrivers on the bus.
Yeah, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids. And there was just a group of us, maybe, I think, 5, all right, that were in on it. Mm-hmm. And I think,
Wait. On the way to the game?
This was for after the game.
Okay, I was going to say, you guys weren't getting sauced up before.
No.
Okay.
So on the way home, I brought the orange juice. I had a gallon of orange juice. And another friend of mine happened to have a half gallon of vodka.
Ooh.
So we were partaking. Mm-hmm. And we were getting away with it, bro. Like the whole...
On the bus?
So regionals were in, I think... God, I'm going to probably get it wrong, but it was far away. It was like Kalkaska or something.
Yeah.
And then we had a bit of a drive
Hour
back.
and some change drive, yeah.
I mean, we were getting a little loose, but nothing where like coaches were up in the front. This shit was happening in the back of the bus.
That's funny.
And
cool kids are always in the back of the bus.
Oh God, dude! And I think we got knocked down by a couple of the freshmen.
Of course,
you know who you are. But so we're getting off the bus. Everything is fine. Nobody knows nothing. And then one of our buddies who was maybe partaking more than the others just gets his fucking foot off the bus and pukes everywhere.
Oh, damn.
Vomit everywhere.
Bro.
And then, of course, the coaching staff and everybody's trying to figure out, are you okay? What's wrong? Blah, blah, blah. So he's like, I just don't feel good. I'm fine. I'm just going to, whatever. The next day, dude, we're all sitting in class. And then, our athletic director was the disciplinarian at the school. It wasn't the principal, it was the AD. And intercom comes on. And then, like, a name was called. You need to come down to the athletic department, the AD's office. And we're like, oh, what the fuck? And then we find out that there's a police officer down there.
Oh, shit.
Like,
Getting serious.
And it's like one name after another. And I'm like, I'm getting away with it. And then finally it was like, Mr. Boudry, please report to the... I'm like, son of a bitch. So I go down there, and it's a police officer who everybody knows here, retired now, good guy. And he was like, hey, I should say his name because I do a pretty good impression, but he was like, hey, Jimmy, you want to tell us what happened on the bus last night? And I'm like, oh, fuck. He's like, listen, we know what happened. I mean, we obviously don't have the alcohol or anything like that, but we've got enough information. But they couldn't give us like MIPs because obviously at this point we're not in possession.
Yeah.
And but the majority of us that got busted were played on the baseball team as well. So we were suspended from the team for the first 3, 4, or 5 games. So all of practice, couldn't go to any of the practices, and were suspended for the first time. My fucking dad was so pissed at me.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
hey man, I just supplied the orange juice.
Yeah, I got away with that shit. We were fine until dickhead puked.
Oh, there's always that one kid who just takes it, too far.
But I think we all took it too far. I mean, that was a wild thing to do.
Yeah,
one of my fondest memories.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
Growing up,
that's pretty nuts. That's funny. There was a kid at my high school who he brought beer in a Werner's bottle.
To school?
And he's like walking around drinking it, and like he was drinking it in class, and like obviously you can like smell beer, right? So like the teacher like walked past him, and she's like, Robert, what's in that bottle? And he's just like, Werner's. And she's like, no, let me see it. And she like grabbed it and like took a sniff. She's like, all right, let's go down to the office. We're all like in class, like, ooh, like kid got busted.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, either he had a drinking problem or he's stupid.
He was stupid for sure. Probably both. Probably both.
We had a kid. I can't remember his name. He had moved here from I don't know, like Plymouth or something like that. And when we were seniors, and he was sitting behind me in like econ, and he would just like start laughing, right? And he'd be like, and he was really goofy. Yeah. And he like wore slippers and sweatpants every day.
Okay.
And I'm like, there's something wrong with this kid. And I asked him one day, I'm like, hey man, you're weird, dude. Like, what is your deal? Like, I don't get it. He was like, he moved up here to live with his grandma because he just got out of rehab, and he was really into drugs and really into...
As a high school kid?
Yeah.
That's
and he was
wild.
into, like, huffing. Remember huffing? Where you
huff dude.
Or whatever.
That's fucked up.
But his tipping point, which threw him at, like, he had to go to the hospital and then he had to go through rehab, was that he would huff, like, the Freon out of the back of the refrigerator. And it scorched his fucking dome.
Yo.
So
that's a whole new level.
If he started laughing, it's because it was just uncontrollable. Like he was just
that's insane.
Gone.
That's a whole new level of degeneracy I've never heard before. Wow.
Super nice guy, but it was great to like hear his story.
Brain was mush.
We were like, I mean, is the kid like touched a little bit? Is there?
Yeah, that's fucked up. That's crazy. Huffing the fridge is crazy.
I mean, clearly had problems. For sure.
Can you imagine as a parent, you come around, they got the damn hose. Like, the hell are you doing?
Yeah,
I'd be pissed, man.
Speaking of MIPs, that was one of the things that was like they were handed out like candy when we were younger.
Mm-hmm.
Cops were just like, all right, here's a MIP ticket.
I ducked out of an MIP one time. There was a party, and it was during basketball season too. So like a bunch of my buddies got popped, and they had to sit out. But we're at this kid's house. His parents are gone. He's throwing a banger, and cops show up, and so everyone skedaddles, and I run up to his mom's room or his parents' room, whatever, and I like hide in the closet, and I'm like hiding in the closet. And one of my other buddies ran through the room, and he tried to open the window because like from the window you could have jumped onto the garage roof. So he opens the window, and as he's trying to bail, the cop runs up and grabs him and busted him. And so I'm sitting there like in the closet, like quiet as hell, just like trying to be quiet because my buddy Tom was trying to jump out the window, gets busted. So by him doing that, it actually saved me because I'm sure I would have got found if the cop would have scoured everything. But a bunch of my buddies got MIPs, and they had to sit out like, I don't know, half the basketball season or whatever. And here I was just tucked in his mom's nightgowns and everything, just like being quiet as a mouse, got away with it. So
we had a party one night. I was probably a senior in high school, or maybe it was the summer of my senior year before I left for college. And I hung out. I had some really good buddies that were in their 20s. Some of my best friends today. They're a little older than me. And we were at a party that was, I can't remember what we used to call it, but it was a big sand hill over by the country club up on the bluff.
Okay.
And
bonfire type party.
It was a bonfire.
Yep.
There was probably
the classic Northern Michigan parties.
I mean, there was probably 200 people up there.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Nice.
And I got hit in the face twice with a 40-ounce bottle.
Jesus.
Yeah, I don't even remember the circumstances. I think I was talking to this girl who had maybe a boyfriend,
The jealous boyfriend.
It wasn't he kind of came at me, and I remember like hitting him really hard in the throat.
You throat punched him?
Yeah.
Hilarious.
And I said to my buddy, oh my God, we got to get the fuck out of here. I think I killed him. Well, then his friend, it was a full 40 too, by the way.
Oh, Jesus.
Hit me in the head with it, and it didn't break. And I kind of went down like, fuck me. And I looked up again, and then he fucking, bam, hit me again with it. Smashed. And it split, like I get a little scar here, and it slit my lip. It came down and just cut me right
no
like
shit.
that. And I was out cold.
Wow.
And then I remember a buddy of mine standing over top me, and I kind of came to, and they were like, dude, get that kid. So then they went after him. And they like just beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, dude.
But then my buddy
so.
had to carry me down the hill.
You're all bloody.
I was like, what the fuck? And I get to the bottom of the hill, and we got underneath the street light, and he's like, dude, your face is fucked. And I kept saying, I just want to go home. He's like, you can't go home. You got to go to the hospital. So they knocked on the door, and this woman, she opened the door, and she just went and looked at my face and was like, holy fuck. And I'm like, I just need to get cleaned up. And I looked in the mirror, my lip was like hanging down here. Mm-hmm. This is all like reattached.
Holy shit. So you had to get like stitches.
I got stitches here and stitches on the side of my head over here.
Wow.
And we go to the hospital, and I'm thinking, oh fuck, I'm only 18. They're going to call the cops.
Yeah.
They never tested anything.
Yeah.
They were like, what happened? And I'm like, I fell. And so they went right to the OR, and they stitched me up. And I can remember. So when I grew up, my parents owned a motel here that's not here anymore. And when I basically moved out of the house when I was 16, it was living and working at the motel. And I should say my grandparents owned it. And so I went I did the hospital thing, made myself back down to the hotel, and went into my little apartment. And the next day, it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. My dad's knocking on the door. He's like, hey, people keep calling here asking for it. Well, he actually called down to the room first. And he was like, hey, people keep calling down here looking for you, and you're not answering your phone. I'm like, I'm fine. He's like, I'm coming down there. So he opened the door, and I mean, my whole face was swollen, 2 black eyes. I had all these stitches. And he's like, what the fuck happened? You know, it was like...
I'm sure it wasn't feeling good
This
the
wasn't
next
the
day.
only time my dad was like, oh,
Yeah.
Jesus, James.
Yep.
And he's like, do not show your mother. Stay in this fucking room until you're healed. You know? It was always, don't show your
Did she
mom.
find out?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't stay in there forever.
Right,
you know?
right.
Of course, she's
I'm
going,
sure that took a while.
What are you doing?
Sure that took a while to heal up.
Yeah, dude.
I've only had stitches once. I got my finger ripped up by a German Shepherd, and not on purpose. It was, we were hanging out at one of my wife's friend's house, and I just reached for its toy, and I guess it didn't want me to, you know, and it, not like an aggressive bite, but it like went to grab for its toy,
Yeah.
just sitting on the back deck, spray blood all over. We're in Muskegon. Spray blood all over the deck. I'm like, oh shit. Go into the kitchen, like wrap some paper towel around it, and I'm like, I'm good. And then like I was holding it for a bit, and then like I went to look at it to like, I moved the paper towel, and like the paper towel like soaked up all the, you know, it was like nothing. And when I went to do that, I peeled it up and I could see my bone.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, I'm not good.
Yep,
Let's go to the hospital. And so here I am in the fucking ER in Muskegon. I got like a white tee on. There's like a gunshot victim. You know what I mean? I'm just like sitting here, and they stitched me up pretty good, but yeah, that's the only time I've had stitches.
there was a I love going down this memory lane. There was I don't know, I was probably 10 or 11, and I was little friends with the neighbor kid, and every Sunday we would get on our bikes and lived out on Red Apple, sort of, and back there on the power lines was always where the older kids would party.
Yeah.
So we'd ride our bikes out there and grab beer cans and shit like that,
Yeah.
beer bottles, and take them and turn them in for cash. It was always, I mean, none of that shit happens today.
No,
We're just so
that was a
old.
lucrative thing back in the day.
We've reached the
returning
generation, we've reached the age, Mike, where now we're like, well, when we were younger, you know, kids don't do what we do.
Dude,
We used to do.
there was a dude in where I grew up. His name was Bottle Bud, and like, dude, he would collect so many cans. He like paid for a truck with it. Like he bought, like, it was like a little Ranger or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, he'd be at every single like one of our football games, basketball games, just going through the trash, man. And like he like every day he'd have like huge fucking Santa Claus sized sack of cans and bought a truck with it. Like, goddamn respect. But yeah, that I don't think people really. I'm sure people still return cans, but
You know, they do. If you keep a keen eye around town here, you can see the ones that are picking through the garbage to get cans. I don't, but
we'll keep
I
some.
don't return cans.
But then like I'll just give it to my son, and I'll be like, here, like when we go to Meijer, you can keep the money from it's like $3, you know, like you can keep the cans from this or whatever. So he's into that.
Oh, one of my favorite things about the COVID lockdowns was that we couldn't accept returns at the store anymore. It was always like, fuck yes. Because what a pain in the
Were
ass.
people
dude.
pissed?
I mean, yeah. Because the big thing was during that whole COVID period was if you didn't have one of those Tomar machines, you know, like at the grocery stores where you feed it, you couldn't take the returns.
What a wild time that was.
It was stupid.
Yeah.
Is what it was. I mean,
Yeah.
there was so much about that time that
Glorified cold.
I mean, I've never tested positive for COVID.
Yeah, well, I don't even think I've ever tested. I don't know.
Yeah, there's that too. People are going to get all pissy about it, but whatever. There was so much. I mean, enough time has passed that if you can't look back on it and be like, well, we did some pretty stupid shit.
People were
like,
washing,
destroyed businesses.
like people were like wiping down their groceries with like disinfectant wipes and shit.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh, dude. I mean, I got friends that today are very much in the camp of, wow, some of that shit was wild. But those same friends I would see on Facebook, like taking pictures of their neighbors because there's too many people together talking outside.
That's insane.
And I'm like, you're being fucking stupid.
6 foot rule. Remember that?
Yeah.
6 foot rule.
Yeah.
What a weird time.
I
Can't believe we lived through that.
It was
crazy.
gnarly, dude. And, you know, there was points there at the beginning where if the fear was if you got caught driving someplace, you'd get pulled over and arrested because you're not supposed to leave.
Oh,
Where the fuck do we live?
Yeah. Or like you'd catch people driving in their car by themselves with a mask on.
Like, just telling.
Are you okay?
Just telling
You
the
okay,
story.
bro?
Yeah. Yesterday with some friends of mine, I was like, hey, this kind of wild shit about COVID came up, and the whole like you can't eat inside a restaurant, but you can eat outside inside a structure.
The little bubbles, the fucking tent, the REI tents.
And that was back, and people were getting pissed at me because I was making videos kind of making fun of that. But it was like, hey, listen, how fucking dumb are you?
Yeah.
When you would say, no, you can't eat inside of this restaurant, but if they
you can eat inside if it's outside,
or a tent outside, like 6 of you can fit in here, so you can eat inside that.
Made no sense.
No, it was dumb.
Made no sense at all. So I don't know
how many businesses were lost because of it.
Yeah, that was unfortunate, man. When they didn't really need to, So I don't know.
Yeah, but back to the returns, people were they'd call and be like, hey, are you taking returns yet? I'm like, no, you got to take them to Meyer or whatever. And then it was like, well, nobody takes these but you. And I'm like, oh, I can't.
Nobody takes these. You're the overseer of cans.
Well,
man.
See, that's the thing too. Is there's like a law. You have to take the returns.
What would you do with them?
Well, so what happens is like you bring your bag of cans back to me, and then I just take them, and I would have to organize them in which distributor brought them to me, and then so I pay the deposit when I purchase the beer or whatever, and then the customer then pays that deposit. So when they turn it back in, they get their money back for that deposit, and then I give it back to the distributor. It's a fucking wild thing, and then they credit me.
Okay.
So
it's not like you had to haul them to Meyer yourself.
No. So if I have $100, so basically I think one bag was $100 or whatever, or 20. I don't know how much it was exactly, but so whatever my bill was for delivery, they would deduct the amount of cans I had, and then they crush them and ship them off to recycling or whatever. Like some companies, like glass bottles, like Labatt USA, actually, if they take their bottles back and they wash them. And then they reuse them.
Oh,
but
I guess that's cool if they recycle them and stuff. But
like in the law is if I sell a product, even if I don't sell it to you. So let's say you found some craft beer someplace and brought it back to me on a deposit, and I actually sell it in the store, I have to give you the 10 cents for it, or if you have a 6-pack, the 60 cents for it. But if I don't sell it, I can pick through your cans and be like, I don't sell any of these, so I'm not giving you the money for it.
Oh, okay.
Take it someplace else. I had a guy, I was probably open for...
Did you do like pop cans? Or is it just beer? Okay.
Yeah, if I sold like cans of Coke, and you brought in cans of Coke, then I would give you the deposit. And I had this guy, he would just go out and look for cans, and then he would bring them to my store, and he would put them in a brown paper bag, and he had exactly $5 every time he came in. And like, this was when I was working, 20 hours a day. It felt like I was key in the morning, key at night. I was always in the store, especially the first year. And he came in like, I don't know, 10 times or whatever. And then finally one day I'm like, hey man, you don't shop here. And he was like, yeah, but you got to take these cans back. And I'm like, you know what? The ATM is turned off. You don't shop here. I'm not taking your cans back. He's like, well, you have to. And like, this is my ignorance. And I was like, no, I don't. I'm not just going to like fork over $5 to you just because you're out there scavenging for cans, right?
Can you bring me 50 cans every time?
And he's like, well, I'm going to turn you into the Secretary of State. I'm like, do it. And he did. And then I got a letter a week later from the Secretary of State that was like, hey man, this is what's going on. You're going to pay this fine if you don't
that's
if you
bullshit.
Don't start taking these cans back.
Wow, and that's unreal.
And it was detailed in there, like the protocol for it and the rules about it. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. So then I had to write a letter back saying, all right, Mr. Whoever this guy is, I'll take his cans. No worries. So then a week after I sent that reply in, he came in with a bag of cans. And I'm like, all right, well, here's another bag. Go through them.
Yeah.
They got to be clean. The rules are they should be clean. You can't just take whatever.
I want these cans spotless.
The can is supposed to come back in the same condition as it left.
Yeah.
It can't be like full of cigarette butts and shit.
Yeah.
And then I made sure, like, if I didn't sell
can't
something,
have stains and shit on it.
Get out of here.
Man, some people are insufferable. That's crazy. Like, to that, like, man, we're not here forever, and that's what you're going to dedicate your time to, is like making someone else's life hard over something as stupid as...
I can be a bit of an asshole, especially with stuff like that. I'm like, Jesus Christ. And then there's part of me that's like, for all the fucking effort that you're putting in, hunting for cans, and then packaging it in a way so you know it's exactly $5, and then bringing it to the store like 3 or 4 days a week. Like, why don't you put that effort into like real work?
Right. Yeah. No, I can be an asshole too, but I'm not gonna try to make other people's lives hard. I'll just be an asshole. You know. So, speaking of cans, this is crazy how we're just getting on this topic. Do you ever like, this might sound bad, but do you ever like, I don't know, you're shopping, whatever at Meijer, do you ever like judge people on like what's in their cart? Do you ever just like take a gander in like someone's cart?
Yeah, it's a bad habit because I own in the liquor store. I would always like look and see what they're buying. But
not even counting like booze, but like, man, I'll see some people and they have like cases of Pepsi.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, unless you're throwing a party, like, what are you drinking Pepsi every night? That shit's so bad for you.
Dude, I know people that just drink soda.
That's insane.
They don't drink water. This is a good segue because I wanted to talk about like your working out regime and your regiment.
Yeah.
Like what your diet's like.
Yeah.
Throw a compliment at you. It looks like with like in the last 6 months, dude, you've really fucking tightened up.
Thanks, man. Summer's coming. Got the summer cut. Just diet, dude. Really, I mean, working out's the easy part. It's the diet, which is hard, you know. I think for anybody, you know. I'm on Ozempic. No. Got that Ozempic bod. No, man. Like, once you kind of lock in, because like, I'm sure you eat fairly healthy. You look good too, man. Like,
I appreciate it, but I can't get my diet in check. It's a mental thing for me. I just keep fucking it up.
Well, it's not like you don't have to 100%. Like, I figure, like, I try to follow the 80-20 rule. Like, 80% of my diet is going to be healthy, you know, strict, and then 20%, I'm going to do burgers and pizza or whatever. So I don't like, I mean, shit, man, it's not like I'm eating chicken and fucking broccoli every day. But, you know, just tweaking your diet a little bit, you know, really, because I could work out every single day, but if I'm still eating like shit, you don't really notice a difference. So that's really when I notice things starting to change is when I tighten my diet up, just high protein, low carb, you know, eating till I'm content instead of like eating till I'm stuffed. You know, because I could easily, like, if we're making burgers at the house, I could easily crush 2-3 burgers, but like, you know, I'll just eat one and be like, I'm good, man. I don't need any more, you know. So that's really what's made a big difference as far as, you know, how your body looks. So
do you watch like calories or anything?
No, man, not really. I don't like.
That's where I'm at.
I don't.
I'm kind of a calorie watcher
nowadays. I'm not
gonna. I'm 47. I'm gonna be 48 soon, and I'm like, I could put 10 pounds on a good weekend, and I eat clean.
Yeah.
Like
Same.
99% of our meals are at home.
I see some of your stuff you're cooking. It looks like good stuff. So, yeah, man. You know, but still enjoy some of the you know, guilty pleasures for sure. And then once you do like tighten up your diet, you don't really crave, like, I don't know, do you eat fast food?
No.
Me neither. I can't tell you, maybe like once every few months if, you know, the kids want it or whatever, but like, dude, I can't tell you the last time I've really touched that stuff. It's just garbage.
Yeah, it's been years for me since I've like pulled into a McDonald's or something like that.
It blows my mind to see people in line at like McDonald's at like 7 a.m. And I'm like,
they're already starting a day off.
Yo, that's how you're starting your day. Like, whatever, no shade, but like, do you, it's your life. But I don't know, man. I can't do it. Maybe when I was younger, but shit, man. If I eat that shit, I feel all lethargic and like, ugh.
What else are you doing? Are you doing it like you're 37? Now I started this a little bit later. I mean, I've always been active, especially in the gym.
I see you at the gym, bro.
You know, but I've always kind of struggled with, you know, figuring out the diet side of things, and then the older I get, the more I want to be the more I want to be younger. but keep it going as long as possible.
You want to be alive for as long as possible, and that's going to boil down to really what you put in your body, So
I started doing getting regular blood work and outside of the traditional
that's important.
Doctor visit because, and I've talked about this before on the podcast, but I do a complete blood panel and
it's important to stay on top of that.
The hormone and everything, and I get my blood work done through Blokes, which I think I'm moving to a different kind of virtual doctoring here soon.
Yeah, there's like something where you can I don't know if you like prick your finger or whatever, but like you can like do something. It's like an at-home shit, and you send it in. Like you can get your labs done like at home, I guess. I don't know. I've never tried it. I don't know what it's called. But.
Well, what this bloke is, I'll go once a quarter, and I go up to this lab up in Traverse City, and they take like fucking. Dude, there's so many vials, and but I get a
walking
full,
out feeling woozy.
The blood panel is insane, and then you have a doctor's appointment online, and they go through everything. When I first did it, so they do a 0 to 100 optimization. Like where do you fall? And the first time I was somewhere around 40-something% optimized, and so we made some changes to supplementation, but they didn't try to sell me anything. They were like, you can get this over the counter, you can get this over the counter, try this, try that. And then got my did blood work again, and I think I was at 100% optimized.
Oh wow,
which was fucking great to see.
Good, man. And yeah, you got to stay on this planet for as long as you can, bro.
Yeah, 100%.
That's really what it is. I want to be here for my kids, man. I want to, be able to run around with them and chase them through the yard, and so that's really why I do it. Is just to be there for my family and be able to move around, man. I mean, like I said, see these people loading up all these cases of pop, and they got chips, and it's like, and then you look down and it's like, oh, they're missing a foot, It's like,
oh god, yeah, all the processed shit too.
It's bad.
Yeah, I get it. But the problem with a lot of that is it's financial. So a lot of this, the pop, soda, sugary shit like that. Those are luxury items in my opinion, but a lot of people are kind of forced to buy that cheaper processed stuff because the fucked up thing is the healthy stuff is way more expensive. Yeah. Which is dumb.
To an extent, I was just talking with someone about this. I was talking to this woman, and she was just like, it's just so expensive to eat healthy. And it's not really. Vegetables aren't that expensive. Right. And if you have the means, like we have a garden. It's not very big. It's, I don't know, maybe a little longer than this table, but we just do tomatoes and like peppers and like cucumbers and stuff. And so if you can do that, go that route. And vegetables aren't that expensive. The protein is, more on the pricier side, especially now. But man, it's so worth it. It's an investment. It's, that's.
Well, I tell people that all the time.
That's the biggest. I have no problem.
Pay more now, so you pay less later when you're like older. And
yeah. Plus, some of that like cheaper shit that people are buying, it like really isn't like too much cheaper than like if you were to just buy some like a few vegetables, some fruit, a packet of chicken or some steak or whatever, depending on what cut, right? If you're going for fucking ribeyes, that's gonna run your wallet. But if you're just getting some sirloins or something, it's not too bad. And like I said, it's an investment, and if there's one thing that I have no problem putting my money into is my health and my family's health and what we put in our body. Because shit, man, that matters.
Oh, 100%.
That matters. That's why I'm like blown away. Like, again, not to be an asshole, but I'm looking at these people like, all right, you got a whole thing of like cheese puffs and like, bro, like, and America, man. Yeah, that's what makes America great, right?
You bring it back full circle. Your kids are going to do what you do.
Sure.
So
yeah.
If you're constantly on your device, they're going to want to be on theirs. If you're constantly putting shit into your body, they're going to put shit in theirs. And it's a cycle.
Yep.
So.
Actually, speaking of food, I can tie this into driver's training. This is a funny story I forgot to tell you. I had a student crash because of a cheeseburger. Yeah, it was this kid I had, segment 1, segment 2, did his road test, good driver, passed, all that, yada, yada, calls me like 2 years later. He's like, yo, Mr. G, I gotta tell you this story. I crashed. I went into the ditch. And I'm like, well, what happened? He's like, it was because of a cheeseburger. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, man, I went through the drive-thru, got myself a burger, driving down the road, spilled some ketchup on his shirt. So he's like, here I am trying to, wipe the ketchup off my shirt, take my eyes off the road, completely crosses over into the opposing lane. Thank God there was no oncoming traffic, and ends up in the opposing ditch. And I was like, holy shit. Well, I'm glad you're okay, but he's like, yeah, the wrecker had to come out and tow me out. And I'm just thinking, like, can you imagine having to explain that to the tow truck guys? Like, man, how'd you end up way over here? Well, you see, a burger,
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just like, we tell kids not to text and drive, but to go back to like CDs and shit when we were younger. I mean, I can remember like driving with my knee.
Yeah.
And I've got the
flipping
CD
through, yeah.
And I'm trying to find the right CD and looking it up and, putting the CD in and then trying to find the song I want while I'm driving.
Facts. Eating and driving's a distraction, But I tell my kids, I'm like, that's what makes America so great, right? We can eat and drive, I said, but maybe don't start with like the Taco Bell platter that's like laid across your lap. Start with something light, a bag of chips, a drink. Start there, and then you can work your way up, because if you're ending up in the ditch because of a burger, bro, like maybe you shouldn't be eating and driving.
There you go. Don't eat and drive, kids. I think this was a good way to stop it, brother. Thanks for coming on.
Yes, sir.